Every day in the USA, people find themselves in court.
Let's take up William Scott Burns. This is the motion filed by Mr. Lockhart on behalf of the defendant, asking that the court find the defendant incompetent and unable to stand trial. I do find that there was an order entered in September of 2024 directing a forensic evaluation by Middle Tennessee Mental Health Center that was intended to determine whether or not the defendant was in fact competent to stand trial. Has that examination been concluded?
Yes, Your Honor. And on December 11th, 2024, the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services sent you a letter. I don't know if Your Honor received it or not, but it's a letter confirming that they find him competent.
They found him competent?
Yes, Your Honor.
It doesn't look like I have that in this file.
Is there another file?
No, sir.
We don't have a copy of the report from the Middle Tennessee.
Should I pass that up to Your Honor?
Yeah. I assume, Mr. Lockhart, you've seen this report. This may have gone to my office. It did go to my office, but so it's probably on my desk.
I've no objection to if the DA wants to file that.
But thank you.
All right, let me take a moment to refresh my memory on this. All right, let's mark this file. Is this your only copy?
Yes, but I can get one from the later, Your Honor.
We'll mark that files in the court. All right, Mr. Lockhart, it's your motion.
Your Honor, if I could just give a brief opening. I will not be seeking dismissal. I don't think that's appropriate. What I will be seeking, and I'm going to put on proof in regard to his competence, is another evaluation that specifically orders Middle Tennessee Mental Health to address how my client would be competent to assist me when he has these deep set delusions and beliefs that are just not rational. So I'm not going to be seeking a dismissal, but I will at the end be asking for a more specific order that addresses those concerns. I think he knows what a judge does and what a jury does and what a DA does and what a defense lawyer does. But I do not believe, based on my observations, that he is competent to assist me in defending this case. So just by way of opening, and I'll be calling Mr. Burns as my first witness.
All right, Mr. Burns, if you'll come around, please.
Just can I say something by way of opening briefly?
Oh, surely.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to state,
Come on up.
Your Honor, the state's position is that Mr. Burns has been found competent by a medical professional and that therefore he's competent. Just wanted to put that on record.
All right, now you can call your first witness.
Call William Scott Burns.
Burns, come around here. Have a seat. Raise your right hand. Let's place you under oath.
You solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you shall now give in this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
All right, have a seat there. And So I'm sure everyone understands that this is not going to delve into the circumstances of the alleged offense. It is only going to be dealing with whether or not is competent to stand trial in this issue. So I just want to make sure we're not delving into the actual, don't open the door that get into the circumstances and facts of the case. So,
Yes, sir.
all right, thank you.
If you would state your full name for the court.
William Scott Burns.
Okay, he's gonna have to
You're
speak.
gonna have to scoot up there to that microphone.
William
Pull your
Scott
chair up there.
Burns.
Pull your chair up there closer, sir. All right, there you go.
Mr. Burns, you're incarcerated at this time in the Humphreys County Jail, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Prior to being incarcerated, what type of employment have you held in the past as far as with any governmental agencies?
Objection to leading, Your Honor.
Overruled. The question is leading if it's suggestive of the answer. He's just asking an opening question about what kind of employment he's had. Overruled.
Unemployment.
Yes.
That is all.
Your what?
Unemployment.
Unemployment? Okay. Let me ask you this. Do you have any abilities to travel outside the earth?
Yes.
And if you would tell the judge in a manner he can understand what you're able to do and what you have done.
Force of change and equivalent matter.
Force of change and what?
Equivalent matter.
Equivalent matter.
Yes, sir.
And kind of give the court a little explanation. What does that mean?
Portal all the way.
I'm sorry, what all the way?
Portal.
Portal all the way.
Yes, the beast mode.
And
Okay.
and when you say portal, what is a portal?
It's a substance of system of matter where it's a teleportation device.
Let me move up here.
All right, we're gonna have to let our court reporter move closer.
Do I ask you to speak a little louder?
It's not gonna.
Okay.
Thank you.
And y'all, I just noticed one of my witnesses come in. I don't know if y'all want the rule or not.
Yes.
Rule has been requested as to witnesses, so anyone who is going to testify as a witness must go outside of the courtroom and remain outside of the courtroom until such time as they're called to testify. You're not to discuss the testimony of any other witness with anyone.
One other witness is, I did intend to call Madam Clerk to testify briefly. I'd waive the rule in regard to her.
I'm not gonna send my clerk outside of the courtroom.
Oh,
All right,
All right, let's get back to the explanation of what a portal is and does.
It's a teleportation device that controls you where to go at any point of time.
A teleportation device.
Yes, just like this clock.
Okay. And to go anywhere at any time, what does that mean?
Go to your galaxy.
To your galaxy?
Kepler, Newton, Lolo, many more others.
And have you used these portals?
Yes.
And how often have you gone to other galaxies?
How long?
How many times?
Traveled to Lolo, Milky Way, String-like,
String light?
yes.
What is string light?
Is it the figure of spectrum light?
And what is the purpose of you going to other galaxies?
Depends what kind of technology you can put your hands on.
To do what with technology?
Gain it or lose it.
Gain or lose technology?
Yes.
And have you worked in any capacity for the United States government?
Yes.
And what have you done?
I mainly work on space shuttles.
Okay. What type work do you do on the space shuttles?
I mainly weld.
Well, anything else that you do when you transport to other galaxies?
Depends on what kind of air you're looking at and how thick it is.
And what do you mean how thick it is?
It's breathable, nitrogen, H2O. It doesn't really matter as long as you can breathe it.
If the atmosphere is breathable.
Yes.
Okay. How many years have you been doing this type of work?
Been doing it for 10 years now. I even got proof of starlight.
And what do you mean proof of starlight?
Where we line stars up.
Who lines stars up? When you say we line stars up, what are you talking about?
Artificial intelligence.
Okay. And is that work you do through the government in some capacity?
Yes.
And how do you use artificial intelligence in that work?
Put your mind to it. You can do it.
Put your mind to it?
It's not LIGO.
It's not what?
Just like LIGO.
And what is LIGO?
It's a computer mirror that create matter.
And there's a lot more details to all you do, but is this what you have told me since I started representing you?
No.
All right. Have you told me something different in regard to the transport?
Yes.
All right. What else is there that's involved in that?
Aliens.
Alien? And if you're gonna have to explain to the judge because he's not talked to you about this stuff. So, what do you mean by alien?
Different species. It's the art of life.
The art of life.
Yes.
And is this something you can still do even while you're incarcerated?
Yes. I don't show my work.
You don't show your work?
No.
Okay. And about how often do you go to another galaxy?
Depends on how much is around me.
And what do you mean how much is around you? How much what is around you?
Equivalent matter.
Equivalent matter? And Your Honor, like me, may not have heard that term. What do you mean by equivalent matter?
Any substance.
I'm sorry?
Any substance.
Any something?
Substance.
Oh, any substance, all right.
We already have about 100 galaxies. There's 5,429.
Okay. And how many of those galaxies do you travel to on a weekly basis?
I travel by myself, but only with my family and family.
Okay.
I even have Delta Watch space shuttle.
Okay.
I even got one that's from here. It's a Palm shuttle.
Okay.
I'm sorry, it's a,
Palm.
Palm, like PALM?
POM.
POM. Shuttle. And when I come to the jail to talk to you about your case, these are the type things that you talk to me about. Is that correct?
Yes. Refreshing memories.
Refreshing my memory. Have you ever been diagnosed with any mental health condition?
Been diagnosed with this mental stress orders.
This mental stress disorder?
Yes.
Okay. Just one more question. When pretty much every time I come to see you, these are the type things that you're telling me. Is that correct?
Yes. Black hole.
Black hole? Right. And this is all true.
Yes.
No further questions.
General McLeod, do you have questions for the witness?
Yes, a few, Judge. Mr. Burns, can you tell me, do you know how long you've been in Humphreys County Jail?
Been there 2.5 years.
Okay. Do you remember what day it was that you got arrested? What time of the year it was?
Yes.
What was that?
Same time.
Okay. Do you know why you're in jail?
Yes.
Why are you in jail?
Because the accident happened.
Now, I'm not asking you to talk about the allegations. I'm just asking if you understand that you've been charged with a crime.
Yes, it all depends what kind of crime you're talking about.
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
Crime you're talking about, alien species.
Okay. Do you understand what you're charged with, though, in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know what Mr. Lockhart does?
Yes, he's a defense attorney.
What does that mean?
Does that mean?
Yes.
It means he's supposed to defend their client.
Defend you from what?
Any kind of law, citizen.
Is it his job to defend you since you've been charged with a crime?
No.
What's it his job to defend you with?
Public speech.
Okay. Do you know what a state prosecutor does?
My brain's a little scrambled from all the travel.
Do you know what a state prosecutor does?
Yes.
Okay, so what does a prosecutor do?
I can say you work for.
Depends on who you work for.
Yes.
Do you understand that prosecutors prosecute people who are charged with crimes?
Depends on what kind of crime you're talking about.
Would it be true that I'm a state prosecutor who's prosecuting you for a crime? Do you understand that?
Yes.
Do you know what a judge does?
Yes.
Could you tell this judge here what a judge does?
It's just a battle person.
The battle person?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
The battle technology.
Do you understand why you're sitting in that chair today?
Yes. It's a battle technology.
Do you know what a jury does?
Yes.
What does a jury do?
They see if you tell them the truth or not.
So a jury decides whether you're guilty or not?
Yes.
Okay. No further questions, right?
Nothing further, John.
Let me ask you a couple of questions. You say that you travel outside of the earth on a regular basis, is that right?
No, I just travel from home.
You travel from home. Okay, but Mr. Lockhart was asking you about traveling outside of the earth. Have you traveled outside the earth lately?
No, not lately.
Okay, you've been in jail for 2.5 years, right?
Yes.
Something like that. Okay. Have you traveled outside the earth in that time?
No.
Okay. And do you understand what you're charged? I don't want to get into what happened, but do you understand what you're charged with?
Yes.
What do you think you're charged with?
Assault.
Do what?
Assault with a deadly weapon.
Assault with a deadly weapon. Actually, it's attempted first-degree murder, isn't it?
No, attempted criminal homicide.
Okay. And again, I don't want you to tell me what your position is or what you think happened, but do you remember what happened in that instance?
Yes, a little bit of it.
Okay. And are you able to talk to Mr. Lockhart about that and tell him what happened?
Yes.
Okay. At least what you remember.
Yes.
All right. So does any of this stuff about your going outside the earth and portals or anything, does any of that have anything to do with what you're charged with?
Yes.
How?
Space shuttle.
Space shuttle?
Yeah.
How does the space shuttle figure in?
My spectrum light.
I'm sorry, my spectrum light?
Spectrum light. That's right. Code talk.
All right. Anybody else have any questions?
I even have some of it on me.
Have what on you?
In
This
the
is-
house.
The tattoos that you have on you?
Yes.
And what do they represent?
Bugs.
Bugs?
Yes.
And what about the bugs?
We're infested with them.
You are?
We all are.
Okay. And if you're infected with these bugs, what does the bug do?
Nanomite.
Nanobites, okay. What does a nanobite do? How does it affect?
Depends on technology.
Depends on technology. Does the nanobite, the bug, the /nanobite, does that have anything to do with what happened?
Depends if it's from Magnum Earth, Jupiter, Mercury, Mars. We already been to.
All right. Anything further, Mr. Lockett?
Just one other thing. Without going into the facts, in this case, part of this case was involving you transporting to other galaxies. Is that correct?
Yes. It was a replica.
That's all the question.
It was a what?
A replica.
A replica? What was the replica?
Identical.
How does the replica factor into anything?
The disc.
All right. Thank you, sir. I believe that's all. We can have you sit down. Just you go sit by your lawyer. Mr. Lockhart, you have another witness?
Like to question Madam Clerk, Stanford, please.
You solemnly swear from the testimony you're about to give in this case to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Madam Clerk.
Madam Clerk, the type of things that Mr. Burns has testified to that seems unusual, is that something that you have seen and heard from him for years?
That would require, to testify hearsay.
It would require her to
I'm
testify.
going to object because it sounds like he's trying to get her to testify to hearsay. Or he's seen what she's seen and heard from him.
Well, what is the hearsay rule? General, tell me what the hearsay rule is. How do you define hearsay?
Statements made by a third party.
That are what?
Inadmissible in court.
Well, why are they admissible? Inadmissible. They're inadmissible if they're being introduced to prove the truth of the statement as being true. Do you believe that Mr. Burns has been traveling to other dimensions through portals?
I would say I'm not qualified to make that. I would argue, Your Honor, that he is trying to assert the truth of the matter.
You are what?
I would argue that he is trying to use it to assert some sort of truth in this case.
Well, I disagree. I don't think that I understand your basis for the objection, but it seems to me that the objection is to hearsay would be overruled based on the fact that these statements are made to reflect, these statements are being sought to be introduced to reflect the state of mind of the declarant rather than the truth of the matter asserted therein. So for that reason, I'm going to overrule. Mr. Lockett, you may continue your examination.
Have you heard these type statements from Mr. Burns in the past?
Yes.
And are those what you would, as a layperson, call delusions?
Yes, sir.
All right. And how far back do you remember?
They're
him
only a
making-
delusion if they're not true.
Yes, Ron. Possible delusions.
Judge Dan Bradley, when he was alive, is the first time that I saw Mr. Burns in the courtroom. And that's been a long, long time ago. And at that time, Mr. Burns advised the court that he worked for the CIA and that he had televisions in his eyes. And
He had what?
televisions in his eyes. And he wrote a letter to the office with lots of CIA and confidential information all over the pages. And that's my first encounter with Mr. Burns years ago.
So this is not something that just started
No, sir.
once he got charged in this case.
Absolutely not.
That's all the questions.
Any cross-examination? I have many questions I would like to ask you without delay. All right, Mr. Lockhart, you may call your next witness.
gonna call Jamie Burns.
You step right around here, please. And I ask you to come around and raise your right hand and be placed under oath.
You sit right here.
Yes, just stand up if you will. Stand up, raise your right hand, and let the clerk place you under oath.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony shall I give in this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
So, thank you. Now you can have a seat.
If you would, state your full name for the court.
James Anthony Burns.
Scoot up to that microphone, please. There you go.
James Anthony Burns.
And Mr. Burns, what do you do for a living?
I'm a service technician for a refrigeration company.
All right. And how long have you known William Scott Burns?
My entire life. I'm 31, so my entire life.
And what relation is he to you?
My brother.
Have you ever noticed any unusual beliefs or delusions in your brother over the past?
Absolutely.
What type things has he told you in years past?
It's really been on a broad spectrum from everything from galaxies to having rocks analyzed and it's really been a whole lot of different things.
And has that been a good portion of his life that he's believed these things?
I would say the last 10 years is when it's got really worse.
Okay.
And of course, it's just continued to escalate.
All right. And do you have another family member with you today? And who is that?
That's my mother.
Okay. And what's her full name?
Jennifer Marie Burns.
And has Jennifer noticed? Well, withdraw. That's all the questions I have, guys.
Ms. McLeod, you may question the witness.
Oh, Mr. Burns,
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. So I just want to ask you a couple of questions about your brother. Could you tell me where he was living before he got arrested, or did you know?
Before he got arrested, it was at 3421 Fort River Road. You saying prior?
What was the name of the road? I'm sorry.
Forks River.
Forks River.
Forks River.
Forks River.
FOR. Okay.
Yes, prior to his arrest.
It would have been Forks River.
Did Mr. Burns ever live alone by himself?
No.
Did he ever have a job?
No, he's never held a job.
Where did he live, I guess, the majority of his life?
Kind of bounced around because my mother and dad, they divorced when we was young. So, like I said, we would bounce around together from my dad's to my mother's growing up. And then, for the most part, with my father, William Burns.
Does he have any children? Your brother? Does he have any children?
No.
Did he go to school here in Memphis County?
In Waverly, they wound up letting me get a normal diploma. It was in special ed, but they wound up, the teacher was a really nice gentleman. They did get a normal diploma.
So he graduated.
Yes.
But he didn't go to college or anything. Have any further questions?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Let me just ask this question. You said that his behavior during the last 10 years has become a little bit more erratic. Can you correlate that or tell me anything that may have happened in his life that would have caused that?
I would say definitely when I turned about 21, because growing up we was always together. You know, I was always there to help my brother out. And I winded up meeting a lady, just to be honest with you. I got with this woman, and so I kind of left my brother high and dry. And then he was really alone, isolated, because of course we have a father, but he worked himself, you know.
Are you older or younger than your brother?
I'm younger, about 18 months.
Do you think that that's kind of about the time frame when you thought things were changing for him?
Yes, they began to take a turn. He's always had like he's always been in like special ed, stuff like that. But even though this, I know he still has feelings, so it's hard to look at my brother across the room and say, hey, there's mental health issues, because I know there's still feelings there. And you know, he may not comprehend what's going on, he still feels it. If that makes sense.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. You may step down. All right, next witness.
Jennifer Burns. Your Honor, he wants to know if he can be released from the ruling
Yes.
setting.
You can stay in the courtroom if you'd like.
Thank you.
Ms. Burns, if you'll come around here, please. I'm going to ask you to raise your right hand and face our clerk and let her place you under oath.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony shall now give in this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do.
If you would state your name for the court.
Jennifer Burns.
I ask you to scoot up to that microphone, make sure everybody can hear you.
Jennifer Burns,
And what relation are you to William Scott Burns?
mother.
And have you noticed any unusual beliefs or behavior from him
Yes, sir.
as he was growing up?
As he was growing up, no, he was like in resource or whatever, but over the last few years,
Okay.
yes.
And has he been diagnosed with anything?
Recently,
No, even going back years.
no, sir. He was a healthy child involved in school sports.
Okay. As he grew older and started acting differently, did you seek mental health help for him?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And at some point, was he diagnosed with any condition?
He is bipolar, schizophrenic, and I forget all of it.
And what age is he now? Ballpark?
He'll be 33 this year.
33?
I've got 6 kids. I have to calculate.
Okay. And is this behavior and beliefs that you've seen in him, has that gotten worse as he moved into his later 20s?
Oh, yes, sir.
And I meant to ask you, what do you work?
Yes, sir.
What do you do for a living?
I am a supervisor over the VHTs at Freeman Recovery.
At Freeman Recovery? And the unusual beliefs and delusions or whatever, is that something that you've noticed going back years?
I would say in the last 7 or 8 years.
And so this is not something that just happened right after he got arrested.
Oh, no, sir.
And do you talk to him on a regular basis now?
Yes, sir. I think he's like this past week, he's called me 3 or 4 times a day.
And the times that you talk to him, does he still persist in these beliefs and delusions?
Yes, sir.
That's all the questions I have.
Gentleman McLeod, you have any questions?
Oh, maybe a couple, Judge. Hello, Ms. Burns. When would you say that your son, Mr. Burns, started showing these signs of these strange beliefs or things that he's saying he has now?
His mental health started going bad like 7 or 8 years ago.
But to your knowledge, has Mr. Burns ever used any illegal drugs?
I've never seen him do it, but I mean, I've heard that he has.
And he's not on trial for that, so I'm not trying to get him in trouble. But I'm just asking if you might know what kind of drugs those were that he had been using, or said to have been using.
Weed, marijuana, THC.
Any others?
I mean, I've heard that he's done others. As far as knowing, I don't know that.
What have you heard that he's doing?
Methamphetamine,
Okay.
drunk alcohol.
No further questions. Thank you.
Nothing further down.
Thank you, ma'am. You may step down. Mr. Lockhart,
No further clue.
no further proof from the defendant. Does the state have any proof you wish to offer?
Nothing except what Your Honor already has in the file from the evaluator.
All right. Mr. Lockhart, you want to argue?
Your Honor, I just submit that these are persistent beliefs and delusions. And it's what he discusses with me every time I talk to him. And I just submit that he's not competent to assist me in defending his case with these type beliefs and delusions. And I'd request an order that orders him to be evaluated, but to specifically address the concerns of somebody who has these beliefs and delusions, how they can assist their counsel in preparing for trial. I just don't believe at this point that he's competent to assist me, because this is all I hear every time I go talk to him at the jail, and it doesn't help me in preparing his case for trial.
Joe McLeod?
Yes, Your Honor. The state would state that it is our understanding that the defendant, his attorney, has the right and the ability, if they wish to get a second evaluation or more in-depth evaluation, they are perfectly free to do that. The state does not object to them being able to do that, if that's what they would like to do. But having said that, the state would like to say that the purpose of, it's our understanding that the purpose of the mental evaluation is to determine whether or not a defendant is competent, meaning does he understand the charges against him? Can he adequately assist his attorney? The state's position is that we do have a doctor saying that those qualifications are that, well, that those things that we need are there, that he has demonstrated that he does understand the charges, that he can assist his attorney. Of course, the state is not privy to what methodology was used or how the doctor determined that. We just know that we have that in the file. So the state would argue first that we do have that, and that the delusions that Mr. Burns may or may not have would not necessarily preclude him from being able to assist his attorney. But again, Your Honor, if the defense wishes to get a second evaluation, we do not object to them doing that if they wish to do so.
Well, this original evaluation commenced because of the fact that there were issues regarding Mr. Burns' mental competency, and the question arose as to whether or not he was competent to stand trial. So an order was entered pursuant to 33-7301 of the Tennessee Code for an evaluation both of his competence to stand trial as well as his any possible defenses he might have in the way, whether or not he could support an insanity defense. The statute says basically when a defendant is charged with a criminal offense is believed to be incompetent to stand trial, or there's a question about the defendant's mental capacity at the time of commission of the offense of the crime, the court may, upon the judge's own motion or upon petition of the district attorney general or the attorney for the defendant, order the defendant to be evaluated on an outpatient basis. I have reviewed the I've reviewed the report from the Middle Tennessee Mental Health Center, and what it basically says, and it's a form, I see a lot of these, and it's pretty much the same thing in each one. They essentially respond to the question that first paragraph states that by order of this court, that Mr. Burns was admitted to Middle Tennessee Mental Health Center, and he was sent there for an evaluation of his competency to stand trial and assessment of his mental condition. And then it relates to charges, which are attempted criminal homicide, which according to the indictment, I believe it's attempted first degree murder, but in any event, there are several others, including aggravated assault and aggravated kidnapping and assault. And that after completing the competency evaluation, the forensic evaluator believes that his condition is such that he can adequately assist his attorney in the court of law. They concluded that he understands the nature of the pending legal matter against him and the consequences that may follow. Furthermore, he's able to advise counsel and participate in his defense. The rest of the letter goes on to talk about whether he can meet the criteria for the insanity defense, or whether or not it would be such that should be hospitalized. Based on what I've heard today, it causes me some concern about the fact that this defendant can adequately understand, or does adequately understand, the nature of the pending legal case against him and the consequences that may follow. I'm of the opinion that there's also a question of whether he's able to advise Mr. Lockhart and assist his attorney in preparing a defense, which are those are the main issues that are in an evaluation for competence. So I'm going to order that a second evaluation take place. That evaluation will include information regarding his beliefs that he is able to transport from one dimension, from the earth to another dimension via portal, that and all of the things. And if they need to utilize this testimony that he had today from this hearing, then they are certainly entitled to that. Maybe a good idea to include the transcript of that to set up. Now, I've done this a long time, longer than I sometimes would like to think. And there are certainly instances where individuals who are charged with very serious offenses tend to suddenly portray themselves as suffering from these types of delusions and things. I represented a woman in the 1980s that was, in fact, a person who testified or was evaluated, and one doctor found her suffering from paranoid schizophrenia. But in any event, my point of that story is that there are times when an individual can say the things that they feel like are necessary to try to portray themselves in a light that would indicate that they have mental issues. But what I'm hearing from his family and from our clerk is that this is not a sudden matter where he's suddenly professing these beliefs because he's in Dutch with the law and he's got a pending criminal case. Instead, this is a case where he's had these beliefs for the last several years and has been expressing those kinds of beliefs for some time. And based upon that, it seems to me that it behooves this court to order a second evaluation, and that evaluation be specifically addresses the issues of his beliefs regarding his ability to transfer out of the earth into another dimension via portals, and to determine whether they believe that those professed beliefs are malingering or made up on his behalf, or whether or not they represent a verifiable mental health condition. And I would suggest that this information that was elicited today in this hearing be provided to that evaluator so that they can make that determination. But I do want another evaluation to be done. And seemed to me that we need to draw an order that specifically addresses all of that. So.
Yes, Judge, and I just had one question. Is that at the state's expense or the defendant's? So maybe-
Well, do you think, let me say this. I doubt seriously that the defendant being incompetent or in jail and unable to pay for it is,
Mr. Lockett, I believe is retained.
well,
Am retained, Your Honor, friend of the family, and I can tell the court I was not paying a big retainer up front.
I'm going to order that it be at the state's expense. That's not going to come out of your pocket any more than any of the others. But
I just wanted to be clear for
I want to
purposes.
make it clear that the state will bear
General Miller will ask us about that.
the state will bear the expenses of second evaluation.
You would have put it on status in June.
Yes, we'll put it on status for June 17th for status, so we can determine what the results are of that. Anything else then in this case? All right. And that would appear to me to be
Mr. Lockett, can you draw this?
I'll be glad.